Hi everyone, hope you're doing well and welcome to the channel. This week's movie is... That's right, it's Snow White. Now, before I get into the movie, I know there has been quite a bit of noise and opinions going around about the recent live-action remake, and I just want to clarify that I haven't seen the movie, so I won't be making any comments on it or on the weird casting choices that were made. Snow White is introduced as a princess who romanticizes domestic servitude. We're 10 seconds into the movie and our main character is cleaning a medieval courtyard like a house elf on probation. She's doing servant work in rags and singing to doves and into wells like life couldn't get any better. Like, why is she dressed like she's ready to milk cows but acting like she's just been selected for the lead role in a Broadway musical? A traveling prince stops upon hearing Snow White's mad chatter with the birds and decides to join in. They're both infatuated with each other and exchange a sing-along conversation. The queen watches everything from the sidelines with an expression like she's just tried a Sour Patch Kid for the first time. Or maybe she's just jealous that the prince didn't sing for her. The evil queen is so insecure that despite being the most powerful individual in her kingdom, she needs a mirror to tell her how pretty she is. Also, the mirror is like an emotionally unavailable boyfriend. You'll ask for his opinion and end up regretting it as soon as he opens his mouth. No, actually, I've got a better one. The mirror is the 1400s equivalent of the TikTok inverted filter. You expect a confidence boost, but come out on the other side regretting your entire existence. If you know, you know. So the mirror goes, "You're pretty, but Snow White is hotter." And it sets the queen off, and she's ready to commit murder. She doesn't even question the mirror. Like, what are you basing this on? Have you taken a poll of the entire kingdom? I'm sure they can be fearmongered into changing their opinions. Less bloody, you know. So the queen tasks the huntsman with killing the princess, and he thinks she's a bit of a weirdo, but she's scary enough that he doesn't really have any other choice but to obey. The huntsman takes Snow White into the forest. Snow White suspects nothing, even though she's given a pretty dress and taken to pick flowers, which is not part of a normal house elf job description. Then the huntsman nears the princess. His shadow is looming, his eyes start bulging, he raises his knife, and then he has an emotional breakdown like he's just been catfished by his first Tinder date. So the huntsman tells the princess that the evil queen wants to murder her and that she needs to run away. Snow White runs into the forest and it turns into a horror movie. Trees are screaming, logs are turning into crocodiles, creepy eyes with no bodies are popping out of nowhere, leaves are doing jazz hands. Then the forest animals cheer up Snow White by finding her a house to do chores in. Away from civilization, and probably not too far from the witch that eats children, there is a tiny house that hasn't been cleaned in 50 years. So Snow White breaks in, and her first instinct is to do the dishes in some stranger's house. Meanwhile, I leave a bowl in the sink and it's just staring at me until I get guilt-tripped into cleaning it. After all the free labor, Snow White is tired, so she finds a row of tiny beds to sleep on. The dwarves, who are the owners of the tiny house, come back home from a day of diamond mining. So Grumpy is the dwarf who is the equivalent of an old man yelling for the kids to get off his lawn. And he's also the most sensible out of the lot, because whilst everybody else is excited about having a princess as their guest, Grumpy's the only one who's panicking for his life because Snow White has got a clear bounty on her head.
Swoop down and wreak her vengeance on us.
Everyone's like, she's so cute. And Grumpy's like, I don't care. She's gonna get us all killed. This is honestly me when I go out with a group of friends and they start suggesting places with no public transport connections. Has anyone thought how we're gonna get back home? I don't care if it has a nice decoration. Oh my god, am I grumpy? So the dwarves ununanimously agree to let Snow White stay and she promises to do all the cleaning and cooking for them. Snow White goes from working for a murderous employer to 7 middle-aged diamond-hoarding frat men with unrinsed armpits and underdeveloped emotional intelligence. Actually, that's not fair, they are all quite nice, except for Grumpy. For a moment, Snow White becomes the parent and tells the dwarves they're not allowed at the table. They have to clean themselves, which hasn't happened recently to anyone's recollection. The dwarves act like they've just been asked to unpack their bags after a 2-week holiday. They go into the bathroom where they have a bar of soap, which is odd since it's never been used. Back at the castle, the huntsman tries to deceive the evil queen by bringing her a pig's heart. The queen, all excited, skips to the mirror to check that she is now the hottest in the kingdom. And the mirror goes, hehehe, lol, still not you, bish. Actually, this is what he says.
Over the 7 jeweled hills, beyond the 7th fall, in the cottage of the 7 dwarves, dwells Snow White, fairest one of all.
Eerie. Anyway, the mirror goes, Snow White is alive. Dun, dun, dun. Snow White is alive and in the woods. A house in the woods, with 7 grown men. I don't know what kind of Airbnb this is, but she's still better looking than you. The queen is pissed, and I'm honestly surprised she didn't kill the huntsman first for trying to trick her. So the evil queen comes up with an evil plan. She turns herself into an unappealing haggard witch, and completely the opposite of how dateable she's been trying to make herself this entire time. Also, if you can make yourself uglier to kill Snow White, why not just make yourself prettier and avoid the bloodshed and unnecessary journey to the woods? I feel like the evil queen has got the least logical vendetta out of all of the Disney villains. In Cinderella, the stepmom was like, I want to be rich and I don't want to do the work, so she took over Cinderella's house and made her do do all the chores. In Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent was pissed because she didn't get invited to the party and she got FOMO. But in Snow White, the evil queen was just like, you can't be prettier than me, so you gotta go. So the evil queen then makes a poisonous apple. I think if you're gonna come up with a plan to take down your enemy and you've got magic, the possibilities are endless. Just zippity zap some lightning onto that dwarf house, turn Snow White into an ant and then step on her. Transport her to a different dimension. Why do people with the least creativity always have all the power? It's a new day. The dwarves are readying themselves for a day full of whistling and diamond mining. Also, where did the diamonds go? Not quite sure. Maybe they go to the evil queen, so she's still indirectly paying for Snow White's room and board. But before they leave, they say goodbye to Snow White. Bashful turns red when the princess kisses him. Dopey goes in for seconds. Grumpy finally comes around and actually wants Snow White to be careful and not open the door for anyone. No matter what happens, if there is a raccoon crying at the doorstep asking for help, if someone is drowning in the little pond you used to wash our clothes, you don't let anyone in. Understand? So anyway, Snow White is baking pies and singing with the animals, and then this happens. This, hands down, has got to be the creepiest moment in all of the Disney classics for me.
All alone, my pet?
Get out of here, you're too creepy. Snow White clearly has no instinct, and her ability to understand animals, which was fully functional at the start of this movie, just disappears. And now she has no idea what they're saying when the birds are picking at the old woman. So the evil queen acts like an innocent old crone, and Snow White ushers her in. The animals, sensing the danger, hurry for the dwarves. Snow White talks about her dream prince, and the evil queen, having witnessed their little rendezvous at the beginning of the movie, entices her with her apple. The dwarves, having clocked on, jump onto Deer like it's a zoo Uber service and race back to the house. Snow White, like a dum-dum, believes the witch and takes a bite of the apple and she dies. The witch runs away, the dwarves chase her, thunder is crackling, the witch is cackling. Nature and short kings assemble and the witch gets caught under the weight of her own karmic sins. I'm sorry, I just got caught up in the drama. And then the dwarves, saddened by Snow White's demise, lay her in a glass coffin. Which sounds endearing until you realise that's how people began embalming dead bodies in ancient Egypt. So after only knowing her for 2 days, the dwarves build a shrine for Snow White. The prince who sang at the beginning of the movie and then just dipped hears about the glass coffin girl and decides to pay a visit. Then he's like, this dead girl is my soulmate. I must kiss her. Snow White wakes up and smiles because that's the appropriate response to a stranger kissing you when he thought you were dead. And she's like, pick me up and take me to your palace. Then she leaves behind the dwarves who built her a lifelong memorial service to be with the guy she shared one duet and no conversation with. Goodbye. In conclusion, Snow White has taught us some valuable lessons. Don't take fruit from strangers, trust your grumpy friend even if he doesn't seem to like you, and if a stranger kisses you whilst you're in a glass box, call the police, not a wedding planner. Hello everyone! If you like that video, then do please give it a thumbs up, subscribe and watch this space for more videos like this. Bye! Bye!